Do it.
No, please.
Okay.
All right, tell me the lowdown. Leave me the dirty on Fizza.
So Fizza did Leah Lamar's podcast where she's like matchmaking people.
Oh, so it worked.
Morgan J picked her.
He
picked
specifically asked for me.
And then 2 episodes ago, Morgan J, the comic.
I hope you're not recording this.
No, and then two episodes ago, Morgan J came on our podcast, and it was like a date between him and Fizza while Zara and I interrogated him.
I'm trying to have a private life.
Well, it's not. You started your relationship on
Morgan
the podcast.
J. This guy's really talented.
He's a cool dude, right?
He's great. Yeah, I like Morgan J.
See,
I don't know. I like him, so
Aristotle
I don't want to cheat him of the thrill of the chase. I don't want to, and I don't want to cheat myself.
If he hears this, he's gonna know the whole game.
Okay, delete.
He does listen to the
it'll
podcast.
Be fine. It'll be fine.
Is he a devoted subscriber?
Let's start the podcast here.
Okay.
Right here.
This will be a bonus clip for our Patreon.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I mean, I would tell him that though.
We didn't
we've
give
talked
any
about
information.
this. It's not a game.
He better.
I actually like him.
He
I think
better
he's
be
a stellar
subscribed
human
and rating us.
You guys, none of this is new information. We had him on our podcast.
That was like their
last
second
episode.
date.
I know, but it's new to me. Can you even hear me? I feel like it's not really coming through. Okay.
Maybe it's your headphones.
Can you hear yourself? Can you hear any of us?
I can hear everybody very clearly. I feel like I'm a little muffled. No. Am I wrong? Am I crazy?
I can hear you fine.
Maybe that's just you. That's
maybe it's
how
your
you hear
headphone?
yourself.
Oh,
Did we even intro the podcast?
We don't.
This is a podcast called Facial Recognition Comedy. I'm not well, guys.
All right.
No,
You say your name. Now you say your name.
No, okay. So, yeah, my name's Fizza.
I'm Pallavi.
I'm Zara.
And today our guest is the amazing comedian from Goatface Comedy, Aristotle.
Aristotle, Athiras. Hi, how are you? How's everybody?
Oh, that was a question.
What part?
She said, you're amazing. And I said, oh, you're amazing.
I am? Am I?
I think you are.
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks, guys.
Yeah. You're
Thanks,
a funny
everybody.
dude. You're a funny dude. I
Thank
first
you.
met you recently. You judged a roast battle that I did.
Oh, that's right.
Killed.
And I did a joke, and a skinny dick energy chant started.
I started
in the room. And,
Of course you did.
Gotta support my bitches.
Yeah. And that's what put me on the map in your head, I think, my skinny dick energy joke.
It was really good. Skinny dick energy was I could tell that really cut him deep.
Johnny Mitchell, who was also on the podcast before.
Johnny Mitchell?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was her.
Oh, yes. Johnny Mitchell. Yes. I just did a show with him the other day. He's a nice guy, too. He's a funny guy.
Yeah.
I don't really tell. I think everybody's great.
That's so sweet.
No,
That's so sweet.
but he's really funny. I like Johnny Mitchell.
So you don't have any comedy beefs, or you just like and love everybody? There's no
comedy beefs.
Yeah.
What the fuck is this?
Comedy beefs.
I have a comedy
have
beef with Carrot Top. I'll fuck him up.
Yeah.
Fuck his ass
Have
up.
you
What did he
seen
do?
his body, though? He's on steroids for sure.
Really?
I wrestled
He
in
looks
high
insane.
school.
You did?
I'll fuck him up.
Oh,
yeah.
shit.
But does he have anything to lose? That makes a person very dangerous.
Does it count as a hate crime if it's against a
I
ginger?
still want to fuck him up.
Yeah.
What do you have against Carrot Top?
No, I don't. I don't have any. I just picked a beef that was so stupid that I wouldn't even like. I'm never gonna like. I mean, I would never. I don't have beefs with anybody. I don't like beefs. Beefs are stupid.
Yeah.
I don't understand how somebody has a beef. Like, give me a history of a beef. Have you ever had a beef with somebody?
Well, I mean, there's like a lot of joke thieves, you know. So
Trying to think.
some of that stuff.
Some people don't like me.
Some people don't like
It's fair.
Pallavi.
But if it's,
People don't like me. I don't
is
care.
it considered beef if you don't care? Because like beef is usually two ways.
Oh,
you know?
yeah. I'm not like that.
Yeah.
I'm just like aware of them, and then I'm like, stay the fuck away from
She's
them.
right. There's one-way beefs and there's two-way beefs.
Mm-hmm.
So for it to be like an official beef, I think it has to be a two-way beef that both parties are
engage in.
Are beefed in. Yeah.
Yeah, because if someone has an issue with me and they don't say anything, even if they do say something, it's none of my business because I don't give a shit. Like that's deal with your shit.
Yeah. Totally.
So I'm not.
You don't have any
beefer.
I have no
You have
beefs.
no two-way or one-way beefs.
I'm trying to think. Have I ever really had a beef with anybody?
Because you've been in the game for a minute. How long have you been
They're
doing
pushing
comedy?
this beef stuff, huh?
I'm just trying to think. I mean,
trying to get some gossip.
I've never been consistent with comedy up until more recently in my life. I mean, I had a lot of family things, and I stepped away from comedy a few times.
Mm-hmm.
I stepped away from comedy for almost 2-3 years. So collectively, all the time I've spent in I don't really know. I have to sit down and look at all the, like, do the math, but I'd say maybe like in the neighborhood of like 7 years, maybe something like that. Maybe a little less.
For our listeners, though,
Yeah,
you're
so
part of Goatface
years.
Comedy,
Yeah.
which is a sketch group. Hilarious. You guys have a
So funny.
sketch
Thank you.
special on Comedy Central right now, which is
Yes.
hilarious.
I
And
showed it to my dad when I was home for Christmas.
Really?
And he laughed. Yeah, I tagged you guys. in
That's
the
right.
thing.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
and he laughed the hardest at the part where they were talking about beating your kids. I was like, Dad.
Which one? Do you mean the lot more? Oh, that's right.
yeah.
You even said that in the thing.
And
too.
then he was like, it's funny because I had one to kick him too.
the long reach, the extended reach.
Yeah.
I really like the game show that you guys did with all the dads.
That was so
Uh-huh.
funny.
That's definitely a dad personality. Every brown dad personality was represented.
Asif's
Right?
character was so funny to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So
funny.
for our listeners, it's also the Goatface special also features other stand-up and sketch comedians: Fahim Anwar, Hassan Minhaj, Asif Ali, and yourself.
Yes.
Does Hassan, or does he go by Hassan or Hassan?
Well, it's
the OG
the
version or the
real version is Hassan.
Hassan? Yeah.
I say Hassan sometimes,
Yeah.
but also depends on if his parents are around. I go Hassan. If it's like his old friends, like Hassan, come here, but Hassan. I don't know. I go back and forth.
Does he have a preference?
I think his preference is Hassan.
Yeah.
That's his preference.
So you guys have been working together for a while, right? Because this started off as just like YouTube videos that you guys put up.
Yeah, we
years
did that.
ago.
Yeah, it started in 2012, I'd say. Yeah, 2012, something like that. We were making sketches for a good about 2 years, and then Hassan went to New York for the Daily Show, so he was gone for like 4 years. So just by virtue of that alone, just geography, we were kind of on a hiatus. So
The first time I heard about you guys was before I did comedy, and I saw the That's Racist music video because I love them.
Oh, that's right.
And that's like the first time me and my friends we watched it a bunch, and we were like, this dude's so funny, and we had like no idea what the group was, and then we had to like look you guys up and everything.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
super fun.
That was a fun music video. Music videos are fun and easy, I feel, because there's not a lot of technical things that you have to kind of keep your eye on, as opposed to like, when you're shooting as technical as far as like there's no audio, it's all MOS, so like you can just shoot however you want to shoot, and as long as it kind of goes with the music, I don't know, it's kind of fun. You get to kind of experiment and flex a lot of different
It reminds me, I start thinking about that boy band sketch that you guys did, or the boy music video you guys did
in the
special.
in the special.
With Dulce
not
Float.
my favorite.
I was crying,
The only reason I like that
laughing.
sketch is because of Dulce. I'm not a huge
She's
fan.
so funny.
Yeah,
I love her.
It was just like, what wasn't, you always have like one of those things that didn't turn out the way, I don't know. That's the other thing too. It's like, I know the things that I have a problem with when I watch it,
Right.
but just like how all the things that you've created, it's so close to you that the things that are kind of that stick out.
Well, yeah.
to you.
I mean, you're hypercritical and you're so close to it.
Yes.
But if anyone who wasn't a part of it, like we all saw, I was dying laughing
Oh, really?
during
Well,
that
that's
boy
good to hear.
band
Yeah, she was.
sketch. I loved it because I was a big boy band, fan of all the boy bands. And when I
Who
saw
was your
that,
favorite?
the Backstreet Boys.
Backstreet
duh.
Boys.
But I understand
What
what you're
about
saying. I tend to not have favorites. I don't like to commit to something.
Sure.
Because I like to, I
Yeah.
appreciate different. But I
She's just on the
understand.
fence.
Look, I don't. I appreciate.
Pick a side.
You can like Justin Timberlake and like the Backstreet Boys
Yeah,
best.
there's
It's fine.
But I
different
don't.
artists.
though.
I have
no,
to say, I
do
actually I don't think you can.
I appreciate the body of both of their music.
This is
He's
too
on
different.
his own. He's like different than it's not. He doesn't represent anything.
I like Justin as a solo artist,
Yes.
but as a group collectively, but the Backstreet Boys stood the test of time. And I
What?
feel
like they're
yes,
still.
they did.
There's.
I
I,
mean,
I don't know
they're
if I
still
would.
touring.
I would not phrase it that way because like
Stood the test of time.
They're
Yeah,
still
and
touring.
Casey and JoJo were still touring until a few years
They're
ago,
still
but that doesn't
touring.
mean they're not like
Look,
standing the test.
They're
Backstreet
making
Boys-
tons of money. They're
Backstreet
making
Boys
tons of money
came
still.
first. They
Yes.
came first, but NSYNC surpassed them in terms of success, and they had staying power.
Well,
They
hold on. Hold on
But
here.
those are facts.
Fuck them up.
But I like both of them equally. I think both of them had some bangers.
Yeah, I mean, Backstreet Boys, you go to them for the ballads, and you go to NSYNC for dancing.
Oh,
and
but what about Backstreet's Back? All right,
that was an anthem for a while.
Don't
Aristotle,
sleep
you
on
don't
it.
need to be here for this.
Okay. Also, NSYNC
Look.
only had like maybe 2 vocalists in that band. Okay, whereas
JC
the
and
Backstreet Boys,
Justin.
all of them are talented vocalists, and again, 25 years later, they're still a group. The NSYNC like disbanded years ago.
I'm really
you know?
happy that they're back together and doing their
But
thing.
they're still a group because they have nothing else to fucking do.
That's kind of true.
Damn.
That's like if
All
Justin
the-
Timberlake did not
Scathing.
have success.
But they still have a fan following, and they're still making like a lot of money. They do cruises. They do. They
This
have a
really
Vegas
hit a note for
residency.
you
This is-
because her
she's
neck started
really
going like, listen, her neck started moving a little bit.
Okay.
They still have a
I'm sorry.
following and da-da-da.
She's
This- I
advocating
have a-
really hard, and
I
you're
have all
really.
started.
I have a
all
lot
started.
of nostalgia for Backstreet Boys.
I got really nostalgic when I saw
Yes.
that boy band sketch, and I thought it
Hey.
was hilarious, and it was hella relatable. So thank you. for
I
doing
also
that.
I want to say about the overall special, what was really refreshing, and also in like Hudson's Patriot Act, is that you guys like never compromise for white people. You just like have
No.
your sketches,
Yeah.
you have your jokes, and you don't over explain anything, and that was so refreshing to see.
Yes, I love that there's no like white people translation.
I'll tell you this too. Comedy Central was pretty great about letting us do what we wanted to do,
That's awesome.
and they weren't too worried about something not translating. You know what I mean? So, and I thought that was pretty great.
Do you think it was the timing? Because this special was something that was pitched years ago, right?
No, there was a few different iterations of what the show would have been that we were kind of pitching to different places before Hudson left. Comedy Central was one of them, but it was more in the digital space at the time. And then a few other production companies were interested, studios were interested in producing a show, but it was always trying to figure out how to do a version of our show that they wanted. You know what I mean? And so that was kind of hard trying to figure that out. And me and Fahim used to have these long drawn out discussions about it. But at the end of it, Hudson, he booked the Daily Show and, he had to go. So it's like, couldn't really do anything.
So that
anyways.
hiatus was kind of good for you guys and the Goatface brand. Like once
Sure.
Hudson got on the Daily Show, like that really helped you like open up a lot more doors.
I think
right?
it's a culmination of a lot of different things. So if you look at, Hudson being on the Daily Show and then him doing like Homecoming King, and then look, I mean, we're progressively becoming a little bit more, the country's allowing brown people to become more mainstream,
Yeah.
or starting to introduce them.
There's
to the
more
mainstream.
representation.
Yeah, more
in the media.
representation,
Yeah.
right? And so that just wasn't a case. That wasn't the case back when we were pitching it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And
The
so
times have changed.
the times have changed. So the timing for me, like I always look at, I don't really believe in luck. I kind of believe in, and did I mention this? I don't know. No, I didn't mention this before. Kind of like, and this is me being very brown. I look at it as pushing and timing, like the X and Y axis, and eventually at some point in time they'll meet, and that's when
When the timing is right.
timing,
That's how-
timing is huge.
That's how
It's
brown
huge.
people
It's
also
huge.
describe love.
Yeah.
So this algebraic, this quadratic equation.
This one is the
basically.
girl. This one is the boy.
XY.
When they come together like that, and it's everything marriage.
So it's this comes out on New Year's, and today's New Year's Eve and tomorrow's New Year's Day. So I thought maybe
nice.
we should talk resolutions, or
Sure.
do you have anything like? First of all, what do you think about New Year's resolutions? What does everyone think about New Year's resolutions?
I always have them. Always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ever fulfill your resolutions? Do you make good on them?
I'd say about more recently, I'd say about 90% of them I hit them.
And are these long-term resolutions or a mix of
12 months.
12-month resolution.
New year.
But, like,
kids.
But I'm talking about big term. Well, yeah, I guess resolutions would have to be specific, because I'm thinking release a special type of shit. But you can't really put a timeline on that necessarily.
12 months.
Sure.
12-month timeline.
But then start flossing. That's a whole different thing.
That's one of your New Year's resolutions, is to floss?
No, I floss a lot.
All the time.
I'm a
Floss
big
more. I
flosser.
floss a lot, too.
Please floss.
Oh, floss.
Oh, guys, there's a
Not the
siren,
dance
so
move.
Oh,
we had to.
sorry. There's a little.
They don't want us to spit the truth. No.
Yeah, so the flossing's different from like like a big career event, but like so,
Are you saying teeth?
Yeah, we're talking about teeth.
Food between my teeth?
We're talking about.
No.
I have floss here if anybody needs it. Is
Well,
there
I
a
mean-
high-speed chase outside? What's
There must
happening?
yeah,
be.
can we
There's
just
a
leave
fire.
this? I think I like this raw shit. Like there's something
a-
horrible going on
Yeah,
outside.
this is just like how records have
There's
that
a
grainy
First
sound.
responders are everywhere.
There's a fire in Koreatown somewhere.
Guns are
Probably.
drawn. I know guns aren't drawn.
I think there's one more coming, right?
I mean, I don't know. Okay.
I think that's it. I think we
Okay.
can move on. Okay, so resolutions
Resolutions.
for 2019.
So, okay. What's your question again?
Just
What are your resolutions for
Yeah.
2019?
I haven't. Well, the one thing is I don't really tell a lot of people what my resolutions are. Not because of some superstitious thing or anything, but I just I like to just keep them a little personal to me sometimes.
That way, no one's disappointed in you
No.
if it doesn't work out.
I don't care if anybody's
That's
disappointed in
smart,
me.
though.
You know what I do like about resolutions, and especially some like for me, I don't have specific stuff. It's more like surrounding, like okay, I'm going to. I like to have sort of an intention for the year, and then like maybe a word for the year, and then an emoji for the year.
Okay.
Emoji
So,
for
Have
the
you been
year.
having an emoji for
Who's
the
the
year your
millennial
whole life?
now?
No,
Yeah.
I just started. 2017 is
Who's
when I
the
started
millennial
doing that.
now?
Is it the squirt emoji? Is that's
is-
my resolution emoji?
It would be.
What's
It would be.
your 2019 emoji?
My 2019 emoji. I'm gonna start using brown versions of all my emojis.
You
probably.
haven't before?
I haven't because I didn't really know it was a feature. until
Is
recently,
there
to
a
be honest.
brown? Is there a like a gradient in that spectrum of emojis that works for you? Because I haven't been
I
able
have
to find a
problem
brown.
with it. People think I use one that's too brown for me.
Yeah, There's no brown
that
the
works
one,
too light.
The one I typically use is a little too brown for me. I'd say.
We're all trying to rep a little harder.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Better gradient.
Yeah. We're not represented in the shades.
of emojis.
Also, you have
figure this out, Apple.
my skin tone
we're-
kind of with the wrong hair color.
Aristotle and I have a similar shade, and you know what? There is not a shade for us.
No.
It's little one's too light and one's too dark.
Same.
Yeah,
yeah, you're more,
but to
do you-
everybody else,
Do you err
it
on the
looks
darker
same.
side?
Huh?
Do,
What?
do you go darker or do you go lighter?
He-
What do you
he
mean?
go- we both go darker.
I go darker.
You go
on the
darker.
emojis.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Otherwise,
guess Zara goes lighter.
I go darker because the lighter one is like really light skin.
That's-
yeah,
She's
that's how I
basically
feel.
like a white girl with black hair.
Yeah.
And that doesn't make sense.
fair and
Yeah.
lovely.
Yeah, Fair and Lovely.
Oh, yeah.
Did you have to take Fair and Lovely, or do you have relatives
have
that
to take.
Happy take.
have to use it?
First of all,
is
he's
that-
a man.
Was
Yeah.
it
Use
recommended
Is
by
that
your
the
physician?
Skin cream? Is that what
Yeah,
it is?
yeah, yeah.
The bleaching.
No, I've heard about it.
You've heard
Lots
about
have
it.
talked about it a lot.
Oh
Fair
yeah,
and lovely.
that's interesting.
That's
Not-
going to
it's
be
not-
an art
you're Persian, right?
special.
My mom's Persian.
gotta address
yeah.
that.
And what's your dad?
My dad's Greek.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well,
Because your
that
name is very Greek.
I know it is. very
So
Greek.
when they said you're Persian, I said, oh, cool.
yeah,
So do you speak Farsi and Greek?
I know a little bit of Greek. I know Turkish, and I know Farsi.
Wow.
My mom's Turk.
Okay.
Where'd you
So
grow
is my
up?
dad, actually, technically. Huh?
Where'd you grow up?
I was born in Texas, and then I moved out here when I was in high school.
Where in
Um,
Texas?
Dallas.
Oh, okay. I was born
That's
in
what I
Lubbock.
thought.
Oh, nice. Does anybody here know? Are you guys from Dallas? Nobody from Dallas?
Nah.
Florida.
Florida.
Jersey.
Florida.
But I've been in LA for about a decade. So,
Oh, okay.
So we were
Oh.
But I
on.
still claim it. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah.
It's the roots.
We were on a
I claim it
previous
here, too.
podcast together,
Yeah.
and you have a really fun story. I don't know if this was.
I
back-
have a fun story.
You have a fun story about your. I don't know if you would call it a date, but was this a Bennigans in Dallas where you met your first love, quote unquote? I'm using love very loosely. There was a Bennigans. I remember that story.
Yeah. It wasn't my
Yeah.
first love. No.
Burn, bitch.
First lover, maybe.
No, it was. You're talking about when. Oh, you're right. You're talking about when I was trying to hook up with an older woman.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What?
Okay, so can you fill us in?
What counts as older?
I just really love this story, but
Well, I was. I had this trend going on for a long time, where I dated older women a lot.
How
was
much
this
older?
in Dallas or here?
This is in Dallas. I don't think
Okay.
there's Bennigans out here.
Was there a range, like women who were slightly older, significantly older?
The
decades?
first girl I dated was about 3 years older than me. So I was 14, she was 17. And then I dated, when I was about 17, I dated a girl, she was 23. So that's 6 years older than me. And then when I was about 20, she was 25. So that's 5 years. I mean, I feel like in your 20s, it doesn't matter anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I did date one girl who was almost 10 years older than me. So
Do you feel like you're you've hit maybe emotional or developmental milestones before other guys because
you dated older women.
Well, I also
Maybe.
get the vibe that you're sort of an old soul, so to speak.
Am I an old soul? Maybe.
You know,
Am I more developed than other men? Possibly.
well, because especially.
That's all the description for this episode is going to be.
Well, because
developed.
especially if older women are willing to tolerate a younger guy, because I feel
I lied about my age a lot.
You did.
Oh yeah, you think a 17-year-old girl was going to date a 14-year-old boy?
But that's what I'm saying. You
Wait,
pulled
but
it
then how
off.
did you-
No.
Was
And
she
there's
wasn't
a-
in the same high school as you?
No, she was actually. So the way our high schools were, or the way I wasn't in high school technically.
You were still in middle school?
I was in 8th grade when I was dating her, and she was I think she was a junior in high school, going a senior. She was in her senior year, and
So you have serious game, is what you're saying.
I
He
had.
just lies to people is what he's saying.
Yeah, you don't need game.
She
You
was
just
like-
go. If you're a 14-year-old boy, this is all 14-year-old boys. Go to a 17-year-old girl and say, "Hey, I'm 17," and it'll work.
Thanks for hitting our demographic.
Thank you.
I like how Fizzo was like, "Are you more mature than other men?" And you're like, "I lie a lot.
Oh, no, here's
I got good at lying early,
here's-
so yes."
here's what happened. Here's what I think one of the reasons why. When I was 14, I had a job. And so, like, when you have a job, which I lied to get
Yeah.
the job,
You're such a con artist.
I needed
You're even
money.
a comedian.
I get
Were
it,
you
though.
even in Goatface?
Because
I need-
if you were losing opportunities just because of your age and you were still capable
Sure.
of being in a relationship with an older woman, of having a job
Right.
and doing it.
Well, no, I hadn't met her yet. I was first. I love how
Me and
she's
Zara
justifying
are
it all for me.
skeptical.
I'm judging you.
Well,
now.
I
We're
like
on-
to
we're on
look.
different
I think
sides.
the appeal of this podcast is the diversity of perspective. So maybe I'm playing devil's advocate, but I don't fault you for that.
Well, first of all, my mom.
I mean, maybe for the women and stuff, but
I
like
had to.
the job shit.
I
The
had
job
to-
shit. I would have. You know, you got to do what you got to do.
I had to get a job early on. I didn't really have any source of income for family reasons, and so I just needed to get a job. And so I did lie about my age to get this job, but the job was kind of a cool kind of place to work at, and so that's where I met the girl,
the 17-year-old.
the 17-year-old, and you know, I really liked her. And actually, for the longest time, age didn't even come up. We didn't even talk about age. I think she just assumed that I was of age because I was working at.
She just assumed
And you never
were,
had to drive a car or anything around her.
Were you
I
16?
did have a car.
Did she think you were 16? Is that how old you need to
I think I did tell her I was 16 at one
Okay.
point in time. Yes. When she, I think she wanted to go to some kind of a thing where I needed to be either 17 or older or something like that.
Were you ever concerned about putting her in a legal situation,
No.
like statutory
Of
type
course
of?
not.
You know, because
I didn't think about that. No.
Like, I don't.
First of all, I
assume
appreciate you
would've,
guys
but-
making me feel terrible about what I did when I was
We're
14.
going to go through your
Okay,
sins
great.
one by
No.
one.
Go ahead.
No, I think
Uh,
this is a great story. I love it.
You want to hear the story?
Well, I would like the girls to know, like, you know, like everybody's, I don't know, quote unquote, like first time with an older person is like
Uh-huh.
kind of creepy, but yours wasn't creepy.
Really?
It was like, it was sweet. And then it like, wait, actually that was a little creepy. But also I had never heard of anyone actually like picking up anyone at a Bennigans. And I thought that was really funny.
I'm trying to remember. Part of me wants to. I feel like it was like, was it New Year's? It wasn't New Year's. It was like it was some kind of a holiday where people were drinking, but it was also a night where it was very busy. Like the part of Dallas I grew up in was kind of a very suburb. It was like suburbia, so there wasn't like bars, or it was just kind of like, oh, the Bennigans has like a something night, and then like everybody comes out to that thing. But
Hangout
anyhow.
spot.
Yeah, I think she wants me to just tell you. Do you really want to know this story?
No, tell
just
whatever version of the
hit the
story. you
bullet
want-
points, hit the
Yeah,
bullet-
yeah, yeah.
I was dating a girl 17. I was 14. She wanted to have sex, and I hadn't had sex yet at that age, but I had told her that that I had. Again, I lied. And
I mean, you were 14.
I'm 14. Hey, look, teenagers just lie. They lie all the time.
When was the last time you lied?
The last time I lied.
Today.
Yeah.
No, I'm being honest. Let me think. I think I lied to my mom yesterday. Yeah.
About, if you don't mind.
Well, my mom calls me about everything. And I just told her I was busy when I wasn't.
Oh,
We all do that.
We do that.
We all do that.
Oh, whoa. You guys lie?
But hold on.
That's fucked up. Really? Wow.
Only for sex and to our parents, okay?
But look.
We only lie for sex and to our parents. That's it.
That's fucked up.
But you were busy though. You were busy.
Mentally.
I was
Wanting
busy
to-
and I didn't
yeah.
want to fucking talk.
That's
Yes.
not lying.
We're preoccupied. It's fine.
I have to wait until I'm well rested to talk to my parents.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I can't.
She calls me about everything. She has nobody else to call, so she's like, "Honey, something happened with the door and the sound and noise."
So do you have to go over there and fix it?
Huh?
Did you have to go over there and fix the doorbell?
No, this one's. You don't want to hear this how complicated this one is, but it's pretty complicated. But yeah, kind of. I'm always fixing things. Yeah, I've always been like that growing up because just I had to. I had no choice.
Can we talk a little bit about that, or because
Sure, if you want.
you posted this really like sweet video of you and
Of my
your mom and
Uh-huh.
your background. Can you like talk about, kind of give a history of it a little bit?
Yeah. My mom has MS. She's had it since I was about 11, 12. Yeah, I've always kind of had to be I kind of had to play like kind of husband and father and son at the same time. It was really weird.
Because it was just you and your mom, right?
Yeah, just me and my mom. Yeah. So to me, it's almost like for example, my girlfriend now, I had to tell her, I was like, look, I have a 67-year-old daughter that I think you just need to understand.
Yeah.
Because there's times that I just had to like,
She's a dependent.
Yeah.
my mom, 100%.
Yeah.
I have to bail and I have to go take care of something that, and she lives in Orange County, so it's an hour away. It's not easy for
wow.
me to get there. Yeah. So another reason why I've been kind of waiting to buy a new car, because this car, I have almost 300,000 miles on this car.
Whoa.
I drive that much.
That's a magical car.
It's a great car. It's a
Yeah.
Toyota.
Also very
appreciate
But
Toyotas.
the
this
only
one.
reason why, like, I've been thinking about buying like a nice car, and the only reason why I've been hesitant to do so is because I don't know if I could drive back and forth that much on like a BMW or an Audi. You know what I mean? So I feel like I'm stuck with Japanese. There's nothing I can do about it because of this situation. But it has gotten better. I do have help. It's not like I'm not completely.
She's not 100% dependent on you anymore.
She's not 100% dependent on me, and she's not 100% independent either. So it's like, I'm still there. I have some people helping me right now, which is really great. I
But
should
you
say I
have
have one
to
person.
you have to be on call.
To a certain
basically.
degree.
Yeah.
To a certain degree, yeah.
How does that affect your relationship, if at all?
Right now, she's really understanding. She's been great. In the past, it has kind of been difficult.
Is that why you sort of bring it up at the beginning of the relationship?
Yeah, I guess it was kind of the beginning. I mean, when you go, especially me, when I would get into a relationship or would start dating somebody, I always think, all right, if I just kind of control these certain parameters, then it will never encroach into the relationship. But almost every time it does. And then so this time I had to kind of pull her aside and say, look, this is the situation, So
Is that like a second, third date conversation? Like when do you?
That's like
Do you have a 5-date rule like Zara?
it's like third text.
Okay.
So your
That's
first
early.
text is your New Year's emoji, which is
What's your?
your first text
2019 emoji.
would be
Woman in wheelchair.
Brown woman.
Brown woman. Yeah.
gotta get the right
But I have to
shade.
go too dark because it's not. Right.
What are your guys' emoji? I don't.
My emoji
Squirt.
Mine's gonna
For
be
the
a squirt.
Everybody, please just try to date Pallavi. Just try.
I'm gonna find a
Reach
man
out.
at your wedding in June.
Oh my god! Oh god! Oh my goodness! I can't.
There's
I can't.
rumors spreading through her family that she's getting married in June, and I'm just going with it.
I'm
So
not
I'm gonna
getting
get a
married in
bridesmaid
June.
outfit.
Do you not know about it?
No. So
we have something to tell you, Z.
Oh my
You're-
goodness! No, I'm
you're
not
getting married.
I'm not getting married. I'm not engaged. I'm not
Yet.
any of those things. However, there's been rumors being spread back east in Jersey and amongst like all my family members, like
Yeah.
wildfire. It's spreading that I'm getting married in June, and I'm sure I'll be pregnant by the end of the week.
Where is
I
that
don't
coming
know.
from?
I don't know. I think people have just been like
I
social
have to
media
admit something.
social media stalking me.
I bet you I know what it is.
What is it?
I bet you your boyfriend probably went and asked for permission.
No, he didn't.
You're gonna
He has
get
not-
married.
He has not met my parents. He's not
Really? How long have you guys been together?
over a year and a half.
Haven't. Oh, well,
It'll be-
I get that. I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't introduce.
Pakistani family.
Yeah, it's a very religious.
And he's a Hindu, so both are enemies.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he's half Hindu, half Jewish,
Oh wow.
and I'm like I was raised very Muslim. So
Yeah.
either way, it's not gonna like work out well, like with the family, like breaking the news. So I haven't.
Do they have like some very unrealistic, or like do they have like these expectations of like the child, like,
Of course,
you know?
yeah, they're
Because they
very
think-
strict.
They think like because of the religious differences, like the child's gonna come out like
Yeah.
that.
Like a monster you abandoned in a field.
This is my baby.
Octopus emoji.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
it a Godzilla or a Velociraptor? I'm gonna birth a Velociraptor or something.
And you're gonna love it anyway.
I just
it's gonna
think-
have the best
I have
eyelashes.
no idea.
I
I'm just
just-
gonna have great eyelashes. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
I think our parents are just old fashioned.
Yeah, they're very old school, and that's what bothers me. And I don't know if your mom Aristotle is like this, but like they moved here with this like version of like their religion in their mind. So they like maintained this like culture and this like version of the religion that they left, I don't know, 30, 40 years ago back in the homeland.
Mhm.
So like the homeland has evolved and is now in 2019, but
Their
they-
version of it.
their version of it, like they're mentally like in that with those things, they're stuck in like the 70s or 80s or whenever they
Mhm.
moved here. So it's like they're imposing these like cultural and religious restrictions on us that like nobody else is in the world, you know. And it's kind of confusing. It's confusing trying to, you know, compromise with what they want and make them happy and
Well, I
like
could
what
tell
you want.
I could tell you this, and I'm not here to be like a life coach or anything, but I can't help it. I think it's part of my DNA to kind of coach lives. This is the way I look at it. At the end of the day, like who do you think loves you the most? Of everybody that you know, who loves you the most? Pick one person. I don't say like
Man.
both my parents. Pick one.
I don't know.
That's a great question.
Honestly, I don't know.
Just pick one.
My best friend,
More than your mom and your dad.
probably. I don't know. Maybe my mom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's say your mom.
Yeah.
Let's say your mom and your best friend.
Okay.
If you don't get what you want out of your life, right? What happens to them?
Nothing.
Nothing. They wake up, they go through their day,
Yeah.
they use the bathroom, they drink their coffee or tea or whatever it may be.
Mhm.
Their life goes on. The
Yeah.
only person who has to deal with that that feeling of not being fulfilled or satiated with the things you want in your life is you. That's it.
So what's interesting about sort of our circumstance is our parents' happiness. It's contingent upon our actions.
But that's
rather than
Yeah.
our happiness.
And that's not, healthy.
But let me tell you something.
Yeah.
It's a perpetual
Yeah.
thing.
It's
It'll never be finished.
Yeah.
Yep.
It'll never be finished.
so it's just
That's it.
annoying to deal with. It's an annoying dynamic because it's like, well, yeah, you don't have to marry him.
Yeah.
I have to, it's
Yeah.
sort of that thing. It's like you want me to hook, like they keep trying to introduce me to like doctors who are 40 and live in 40. But that's not compatible.
No
And you don't
offense
like
to
any of
any
these
of our
doctors.
fans who are doctors in their 40s.
We need you.
It just
Right now, Doctor Force is like, fuck this.
And then they like give up they're throwing their stethoscope
maybe there's
in
a
the
dope
trash.
doctor in their
Come to our
40s, but not
shows.
the ones that my parents want me
Come
to
to our
marry.
shows.
Sure. I mean, look.
My dad over Christmas break, I was like, maybe I'll go on dates again because I like don't at all.
Uh-huh.
And my dad was like periodically, just in the middle of silence, he would just be like, "If you're gonna date again, just be careful." Like just out of nowhere.
Uh-huh.
That's all he had to say.
I mean, that's sweet.
I know
He's not wrong.
Pretty sweet. I know he's right. I was like, "This is pretty chill, Dad. You've totally settled."
I mean, look, the things that your parents want for you and, all our parents want for us, it's actually not very different than what, let's say, white parents want for their white kids. I mean, I don't have why I have to say white parents, white kids.
I think
Clearly
they-
they have the white kids.
But their idea
But-
of what's right
but what
is
I'm-
different.
They
Or
might,
what-
I don't know. They adopt a lot.
but I think
This is
it's
true.
it's all around it's all around the idea that the parents just want what's best for their kids,
But
and what's best for their kids is different depending on, you know what I mean?
so it's like, but I feel like ultimately that's what they really want. But there's a lot of ego involved where I think they still want to impose their will.
No, I just think it's
in my experience.
Maybe.
I'm not. I don't mean to generalize this. I'm just saying my
I
experience.
think they want us to
What
be
are you
happy.
laughing at?
We're just been laughing over on the side. We can't stop making
We were
each other
still
laugh.
laughing at white parents and white babies.
Yeah.
It's
I
redundant.
remember one time I saw these Asian parents, and they had a white baby,
That's so confusing.
and I was like, wow. That's a successful white baby to be able to adopt 2 Asian parents. It's terrible. Anyways,
I think our parents want us to be happy. They just don't know. They don't know the logistical steps to get there, and they have this idea of happiness for us. And so I think that if we choose the things that make us happy, then we're like doing what they want, despite them not thinking it's the right thing.
Look, if you were back, if you were not a first generation American person, you were living back home, wherever that may be, with your parent, not back home, but where your parents are from, then all of this would make sense, and it's fine.
Yeah.
It's just a cultural clash and greater opinion as to what the parents think. Does that make sense?
There's a larger discrepancy between our culture and their culture, and so it's harder to communicate.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is they want us to be happy, but their version of what our happy looks like is wrong sometimes.
because they don't have
they
any
don't
other
know.
they don't know. They don't have any other
and
data
it's
otherwise.
not a fault thing. It just is what it is. And
Yeah.
it's just, I think, when there's pushback from who wants that? You just want to be able to be happy. You don't want someone to have an issue with how you're happy.
Sure.
They just don't think that we're making choices that will make us happy in the long term. Like they think that we're choosing the wrong thing, but they don't know what's best for us all the time.
No, I mean, look, they're only using their own experiences as an example, and
So you have a lot of compassion for that generation.
I just feel like I don't know why I can kind of put myself in a lot of different shoes and kind of look at it from that point of view in a way. It's probably why I never fight with my girlfriend ever.
You haven't fought with your girlfriend at all?
Not really, no.
How long have you guys been together?
2 years.
What?
Yeah.
How? What?
I'm
Oh
not
my
much.
God.
I'm not much of a fighter, anyways, in that regard. Because
Yeah.
I'm pretty good about seeing different points of view. And if I feel like I'm not really being heard on my end, then yeah. I mean, look, I debate. I'm not.
Yeah.
I do. And I'm.
There's better forms of conflict resolution than
Yeah.
Right.
verbally duking it out.
I remember like a previous relationship I was in. I don't want to mention which one, but
Bennigans,
we
bitch.
did fucking Bennigans. We did
Glad I lied to
fight
you.
quite a bit. Yeah. Huh?
Said, I'm glad I lied to you.
Yeah, bitch.
That's my impression of you. I'm glad I lied to you.
That's what I said. Yeah. I'm glad I lied to you, bitch.
Come at me, Carrot Top.
Well, so I mean, that's where like how we behave in our current relationships. I think is a result of whatever we've learned behavior or learning lessons from previous relationships, right? So if you're saying
Yes.
that in a previous relationship you guys fought a lot and now you don't.
Well, we fought for I mean,
But you were 14 at the time, right?
I was 14 because that was like,
You're 14 dating.
He
a
lied. He was
17-year-old.
actually 11.
I was 11. I was like, I'm 17. Are you sure?
I'm the manager.
You're going to get this chick in trouble.
Yeah.
Let's have sex.
Oh my god.
That sounds crazy.
That sounds really sexy.
I know.
Why not? These are my toys. You don't like Ninja Turtles? Wow. To the curb, am I right?
We're just going to let you keep going for the next hour.
Honestly, I see this being a cartoon. I see like this 11-year-old boy who's trying to have sex.
You did have like
Yeah.
2 pedophile sketches in the.
Well, hold on. You loved it. No, there's one pedophile
There's
sketch. The other one
Fahim getting shot.
yeah.
Right?
The other one is more of you don't really know what he is.
What was the other one?
Frosted Greg's.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god. I
Where
really
you were like the creepy dude.
I like the gun control, not the gun
That
control
was so
one,
good.
but like
Yeah.
Yeah.
The NRA.
the NRA
yeah,
awards.
yeah.
I died. It was great.
Oh man. What were we even talking about?
I don't
before?
know. I don't know. He was giving me
Parents.
life advice
Our
about
parents.
Look,
parents.
at the end of the day,
shit.
you have to live with, and you have to live with, and you have to live with the things that you didn't get.
Live your life.
Not anybody else. Nobody does. Not even the person that loves you
Can
the
you
most.
say it in an accent so I actually take it in?
Yes.
Yeah. What kind of an accent?
Well,
You can- whatever's more
are you
natural to you.
comfortable using an accent? We want to make sure that you're comfortable.
He did it earlier, like
Doing an
Of
accent.
course. I'm so conditioned to be like, whatever gets me the job. I don't know what accent do you want?
An Asian accent.
Whatever accent you
It's like
feel comfortable
hella
doing the most.
offensive.
Would that be super offensive? Would people
Yes.
get really mad? You really want me to do that?
Do that. Do
I
whatever
can.
accent.
I did pretty well.
Do what in an accent?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I wanted.
Just
I
give us your
initially
approval.
wanted approval in a brown accent, so I could just soak it in like my.
I
parents.
apologize on their behalf.
Give us
okay.
give us
Don't
give us your
apologize
dad.
for us.
Give us your dad approving of our life
Yeah.
choices.
My dad's not a good example.
Any person.
Brown dad.
A brown dad.
He didn't even have a brown dad.
Listen, your life. This is your life. Take your life. If you don't have what you wanted for this,
He's not.
I don't know what to tell you.
It's like not making eye
It's not,
contact.
huh? You want what you want. What do you want? Huh? What do you want?
What do you want to be?
You want? You what do
I
you want?
wanna be a comedian.
You want this one. You what do you want?
I want to be. A
You want
comedian.
that one. What do you want?
To do what I want to do.
Yes. If you don't have you having it, you are not going to have you so hard working. If you don't understand this gonna be problem for you. Do you understand?
Yes, I understand.
Okay.
Oh man, that
Okay.
felt good.
Here's
That felt
$5. Go play a video game. I don't know why I had to turn it kind of
Just for the record, there was no $5 being strewn.
Oh, I could use $5 right
Yeah.
now. That would be great. Oh my
That felt
God.
good.
That was great.
After
That was-
shows, I like get hugs from like
Helped.
older brown women, and I just like hold on to them too long.
Yeah, really?
Like, give
God.
me your love.
Well,
so funny.
I always so during our shows, there always like happens to be some sort of some auntie and uncle in the crowd, and I always do this bit of crowd work. Like, are there parents here? Are there Indian parents here? And then I'd like to thank the parents for being here and watching my comedy, because God knows my parents don't.
Uh-huh.
And it always gets a laugh because it's so hella relatable. And also, like, thank you for parents out there for
Sure.
like approving of us, because we need it somehow, even if it's not from our own.
I mean, it's gonna happen. I mean, at some point in time, your parents just kind of, they kind of let go and let you live your own life. A lot of times, I feel like that shift happens when they're more concerned about their own health,
Yeah.
which is one of the reasons why I think I was so independent a little prematurely in my life.
Yeah.
I had it a little too young, I feel, because I got in a lot of trouble because of that. Like dating 17-year-old women at 14. But I think that came from just my mom being so concerned about her health that there was just like, I had to kind of fend for myself, get a job early on, and just trying to help as much as I can.
Her focus was shifted to something else.
Big
Yeah.
time. Yeah. Big time.
Yeah.
So but you also then had the freedom to go do whatever the fuck you wanted without really having.
I did actually.
know,
Date older
I
women,
have to say,
lie.
I have to say, well, I lied, yeah, and then I also dated older women. Is that what you said?
Lie.
Okay, great. Yeah. I did both.
we
those
covered
things.
that. We
Yeah,
covered
yeah.
that.
I
The title
What
is
else did
just
you get away
Lies
with?
with Aristotle is the title of this episode.
I got away with getting jobs that I should have never had. I remember.
That's fine. I think I agree with Fitz on that. That's fine.
But were they unsafe? Was it unsafe for you to have these jobs? Like, were you bartending?
He was an
at 14?
OBGYN, actually.
I was. Yeah. There was a kid. Did you read about that? The kid in Florida who,
Oh,
who
yeah.
posed as like an OBGYN
Yeah,
or
he put
something
on
like that.
like a doctor's coat in a hospital, and then people would just like let him do what he wanted.
Yeah. He went to jail, I think.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's a really fun and cute, whimsical story until he
Yeah,
goes to jail.
Doogie Howser, but if Doogie Howser lied and he wasn't, do you guys know Doogie Howser?
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
All right.
All of our parents wish we were Doogie Howser.
Yeah.
White men.
That's a perfect example of how like there was no representation. Like in Doogie Howser back then
Would have
been an
been
Indian
Indian,
kid.
yeah,
Are you
yeah.
serious?
Absolutely. Guarantee
I
an
wanna
Indian kid could have done that.
I want
100%.
to see a white kid win a spelling bee for once.
Yeah.
I want to see that happen. Let's throw him a bone. Nope. Okay.
Yeah.
Spell check
Everybody-
messed up my spelling. I used to be good at that. And it's now I'm not
Yeah.
a great speller.
I won a spelling bee, and now I can't.
I can spell
for shit.
Oh, really?
assassination.
Yeah.
I think I won like
'Cause you
the
had to.
weekly one in
first grade.
elementary school, not like an official bee where everybody's like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's not like some bracket. I want a bracket or something.
Yeah.
But anyhow,
Silent.
You just
We're done with
you powered
Aristotle's.
down.
Aristotle's life coaching session is over.
is it really already?
Well,
You never
no.
told us. Okay, so you don't have specific resolutions, right?
Oh, I don't have any resolutions. I mean, no.
the
I do
personal.
have resolutions.
Yeah.
They're
that you
personal.
want to.
I do. Okay, I'll say this. I'm I'm gonna eat better this year, 2019. That's
Yeah.
what
Are
I'm
you going to
saying.
do keto?
I am doing keto. Yeah.
Keto was the most searched diet on Google in 2018.
What's keto? Just no carbs?
Keto is when you. Oh, do you want to tell them?
Go ahead. You're on it. So
Let me explain. Keto is when your body starts using lipids and fat as energy.
But in order to achieve that, you have to avoid what food?
So your body will use. This will be a long thing. So let me
it's basically like Atkins, but you're allowed to eat cheese. You're allowed to eat more fats, right?
It's really just Atkins.
Yeah, but like you're allowed to have fats. Actually, Atkins lets you have cheese and stuff.
Yeah, Atkins.
In
Yeah.
moderation.
So protein and fat is fine, and carbs and sugar.
It's
are
mostly fat. It's
not.
whatever. So you have what a glycemic food index is.
I mean, I've heard of it.
So it's basically like foods that digest in your system really, really fast. So anything that digests in your system really, really fast is is the first thing your body's going to use for energy. So like straight sugar or even like carbohydrates and whatnot. So you eat something that's kind of higher, or no, I'm sorry, lower on the glycemic index, like fat and protein, so that it takes a little. You're basically it's a very convoluted way, to be honest with you, of starving your body. People don't want to admit it, but that's really what it is.
Yeah, well,
You're like avoiding carbs, basically.
Yeah, and you're forcing your body to digest something that takes a long time to digest, which is fat and protein. It takes a long time.
Your
to
body's
do that.
eating itself.
Sort of, to a certain degree.
Yeah.
To a certain degree. That's another 15-minute conversation. I could tell you guys off. You don't want to hear about all this. And that's not what this is all about,
No.
right?
Well,
What is this podcast
This is a health
about?
and fitness podcast. I don't know
I didn't know
what. We're getting into the second hour.
Right.
This podcast is about like, I don't know, brown girl problems.
Let's talk about them.
Yeah. No, we talk to cool people who are, representing their journey.
That's
and
great.
something that we can relate to, our listeners can relate to.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah, go for
when
it.
we started our like facial recognition group, there were comparisons made to Goatface,
Okay.
like us being like the brown female version of it. We like have experienced some growing pains in this first year because things have kind of moved faster than we expected. How do you guys keep the magic alive and not break the band apart?
Well, you have
Yeah.
to be a little bit more specific. What are you talking about?
Like, do you guys have arguments? Have you had like
Oh, yes.
issues with each other? How do you like
Absolutely.
get through it? How do you continue? Like, how do you know that the group is going to like hold together?
We have definitely beefed in the past, for sure.
You do have beefs.
Yeah. Well, they're like inner beefs.
Yeah.
And they're tiny like beeflets.
Well, let's
Yeah.
just say this. Were you all like familiar with each other and friends with each other when you first started?
Me and Fahim were. We actually lived right over here in Koreatown. He still lives here, but we were living next to each other. He was in 405 and I was in 403.
Oh,
Literally,
wow.
like-
Neighbors.
Like
Cool.
neighbors, yeah.
Yeah.
And we started shooting sketches together, and then we just kind of got this idea to kind of make the group bigger. And I had already been in one of Hudson's sketches, and Asif was in one of our sketches prior. We just kind of, I don't know, it just felt right that it was like me and Fahim were the closest of the group, and then just through stand up we just knew Hudson and Asif, and we became friends through that, and then eventually just kind of we're like, hey, let's just do this as a bigger thing. It was a very pointed it wasn't like this, it didn't fall in our laps. It was very intentional.
So can I ask where the tension came from?
Creatively, there's tension sometimes, and look, I mean, when you're taking a collaboration of creative sensibilities is always going to be a difficult thing. It's just not possible for it to not be.
And I always feel like stand-up comics are solo artists. For me, I was always I was drawn to that because I just want to do I want to express my art.
There's
how I
also
wanna
that
express my art.
too, where
I have a problem with authority.
Yes. She very much does.
I do.
So I'll address both those things. So like, for example, with stand-ups, so I find it kind of a little bit more difficult to direct stand-ups, like in a narrative kind of thing. And the only reason why is because they have so much.
You're a director. Would you call yourself a director before a comic? Because like you direct a lot of things. Right?
No, I mean, I don't think I'm one over the other. I have put more of my director self out there than I have the stand-up or the comic version of myself.
Yeah.
And that's just that's just because of the situation, you know. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain. Like for me, when I was doing stand up a long time ago, nobody really knew that I could or did direct anything, and I was doing pretty well in doing stand up. And then I left because I had to go finish college because my mom wanted me to. Again, me doing something that she wanted me, and I was gone for like almost 3 years. And coming back into it, it was a lot easier for me to. It was hard to kind of reintroduce myself to the community. Making sketches with Fahim kind of helped me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Kind of get footing again. And then the directing jobs kind of started coming.
Do you direct most of the Goatface sketches and things that you guys put on?
All of them. Yeah. I mean, there's
so you're the director
maybe one
of
or
the group.
two. Yeah.
So you guys kind of found ways to like fill the roles with whatever like skill set you guys have. And then there's conflict inherently within that because sometimes those lines are blurred.
No. So
well, I think it's very important to set boundaries. And I think initially what happened was this sort of came together as, you know, I always knew it was going to be something, but you know, like it falls into place.
What?
And
our group.
Oh, your group.
Yeah. So what I do looking back, I wish I had the knowledge, you know, in retrospect, I would have set clear boundaries initially, but I didn't, you know, like I've never done this before.
What do you mean by boundaries?
Well, just like sort of what the roles are, the expectations, just establish, you know, what sort of works and what doesn't. But like I didn't know what those were. So,
Right.
So did
I
you
think
guys-
that's where the growing pains come in.
Did you guys have to do with Goatface, like as you were like kind of forming and the storming and, you know, kind of coming up with all the creative ideas? You mentioned that you don't always creatively see eye to eye, but I guess like how?
Let's go ahead. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
So how did you like overcome?
I am trying to
conflicts and
answer
stuff?
this question.
Yeah.
Okay. How do we overcome it?
Yeah.
Right. I think at the end of the day, for us, in a lot of the creative differences that we had were kind of more or less like, you know, Fahim wrote a lot of the sketches. We would kind of pitch ideas and then he would go off and write the first draft of it, or one of us would, but mostly he did. And then when he would write a sketch, we would kind of get together and be like, okay. And then I would say, this is not going to play and this will play. That's where like a lot of the, I'd say some of the creative differences came from, was me trying to find a way of making this work on camera to have this play, right? Because in my mind, I can kind of see it. Fahim has he has a very good sketch brain where he can kind of see, like he always has really good ideas for like a left turn or a sketch, or the way he writes, you know? And then I get it, and then I look at it and I say, well, this is not going to work, or this is going to work, or we need to change this. And that's where a lot of sometimes the creative conflict comes from. There have been other creative debates that we've had.
So most of it's been around the creative stuff,
but also where you want the direction to where you want to take the group. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like what we knew is that nobody else is going to give us an opportunity. That's the other thing too. It's like you can't go into this thinking that you have the privileges of like a white sketch group. You cannot.
You're creating a platform.
The moment you do that, you're dead in the water, because you think, well, they'll jump on if they like me, and da. We've always had to over deliver. That's what we always did. We over delivered on everything. Like for me, I could have shot a lot of those sketches in a more simplified way, where I didn't have to put so much of my blood, sweat, and tears into it. And it would have been no different than any other sketch. But for me, like I wanted to make it very cinematic. I wanted, if the sketch lended itself to that kind of that look or that feel. So for me, you know, I was always in the space of, hey, let's over deliver. Me and Hassan always we gelled on that. We understood each other. Like me and Fahim, we gelled on a different thing. Me and Hassan gelled on like that. What's another word for gel? I feel like gel is terrible. We vibed.
Let's bring this into 2019.
No bad gels.
No bad gels here. No bad gels here. Yeah, me and Hassan, we vibed on the
over delivery,
the hustle, the pushing,
connect,
you know
maybe
what I mean?
level.
Yeah,
we connected on that.
Yeah.
Me and Fahim connected a lot on, you know, like the creative,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And a lot of times we
Asif was also there.
Asif was also there. But the thing about
Everyone gets along with Asif.
Exactly.
Asif's
Asif was
very easy to
always,
get along with.
He was always like Switzerland. He was always super neutral. He just was down to be. He's always been a super positive and happy to be part of it. And like he was just nobody ever had any kind of conflict whatsoever. He was just always there and ready to work and do stuff. That was the great thing about Asif. But yeah, and then sometimes me and Hudson, we gelled or we vibed creatively too. But our creative vibe was specific and a little different than the one I had with Fahim.
Right.
And me and Fahim sometimes would vibe about hustle and stuff, but it was very different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They were just different kind of. So the way you make that work is that.
Communication, transparency.
No, yeah, that too for sure. But also just
Why would
knowing.
you say transparency to a
Yeah,
liar
I
like
mean, he's a
that? He's doing the
So
eyes.
not communication or transparency, but what did
No,
work for you guys?
those two things clearly, obviously. I mean, you have to have those. Those are important. But I think also it comes from you can't expect somebody to react or you can't expect somebody to react the same way that you would when they're not you, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's just like you have to be kind of it's kind of a way of being a little compassionate, but not being like a pushover on the situation.
Trying to see like it from someone else's perspective.
Yeah, you have to see it from someone else's
Yeah.
perspective. And then, one thing that we would kind of do is we would try to be mindful of, kind of round robining the the sketches. Like we did a Fahim sketch.
I
a
noticed
Hassan
that
sketch,
you guys had the main character, and then
Yeah.
that person did the stand up right next to it, right? In the
Oh,
special?
yeah, in the special, yeah. But I'm talking about when we were in the sketch group.
Yeah.
For us, it was kind of like, like Hassan had an idea and a baby. We would work on that, and the next one would be like a Fahim thing.
So it'd be an egalitarian sort of.
Yeah, we kind of went.
Yeah, like everybody's projects were heard and collaborated on.
For me, like unfortunately, like nobody could really jump into my shoes and do. Because it's really hard to direct and be in something at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one of the reasons why I wasn't so much in front when we were doing a lot of the sketches back in the day. I tried to as much as I could. If the sketch was simple enough that I felt like it didn't really need everything, all of me behind the camera, then I would try to put myself in front. But it was very challenging at times. But that's pretty much, like everybody was heard, and we just wanted to do sketches that everybody felt like they got their sketch in. And then we just knew that, again, nobody's going to hand us an opportunity. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I think we stuck together for so long. You know what I mean?
Do you have like more projects coming up that you want to work on as a group, or?
Yeah, I mean the show we're working on figuring out how the first season's going to be.
You guys are getting a full season?
Look, I mean,
Whoa!
Heard it here on the Facial Recognition Comedy
hold on for a
Podcast.
second. It's
I got really excited.
look, it's not nothing's been like official yet,
Okay.
but it's going to happen.
The ink hasn't dried
The ink hasn't
or
dried.
even been signed.
Which one first?
So you signed first,
Yes.
and then it
And
dries.
then- yeah.
Well, here's the
But
thing.
neither step has-
they technically have us for 2 more specials.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So the deal was for like a total of 3, right? It was 1 special, and then they have the option for 1 and 2.
That's
or 2 and
awesome.
3.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
That's
but
great.
they're gonna. I'm just putting it out there. I know it's going to happen. Of all the conversations we've had, it's going to turn into a show. Now, as far as like beyond season 1, I don't know.
I am so excited for you guys.
This is so
Yeah.
I'm
dope.
super excited. I also can't wait to see it.
To me, and I don't want to be cheesy about this, but for me, it's also like I know that when I was growing up, it was very hard for me to say, "Oh, that guy's like me," or like I always felt
Yeah,
like
yeah.
to a certain degree. And the other thing too is like everybody grew up in the U.S., right?
Yeah.
You don't really notice or see yourself as being brown or different.
Mm-hmm.
You like, Lucky Charms and like you like the same toys. Like you just like
Or is
this.
it
Just the marshmallows.
Same cartoon,
Greg's,
huh?
Gregos?
Just the marshmallows. and
Same
Lucky
here.
Charms.
Same here. Marshmallows. Yeah.
I don't know. I like honeycomb. That was my thing.
All right. Anyways.
All right, continue.
But my point is that you never really knew that you were different. You always felt the same. The only semblance of difference you had, or like that you were different from everybody else, was the way people treated you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like for me, if anything, if I were to die exactly 1 year from today, I would want to know that there's a kid out. This is the corny part, but there's like a kid out there that maybe wants to be a funny person growing up.
That is so important.
That I want to be able to say, hey, you can do this, and you don't have to be whitewashed, or you don't have to be something that you're not. to be that.
That's what I
You know
think
what I
so important about our generation is this is sort of the first wave of representation that we're having. I mean, there was Russell Peters, but
Yeah.
it was just him for a while, and he never even broke into like TV and movies. It was just straight stand up. So
Yeah.
we didn't have that. We didn't have those
Right.
role models. Like I think the closest I got was what, like Margaret Cho or something.
I didn't. I mean,
And
yeah.
then she. Well, let's not get into.
I didn't even realize like you could have a career in comedy. Like I could have a career in comedy
Or just
until,
acting if
or
you wanted to be
anything.
an
I
actor,
didn't
yeah.
even think of it as an option until my like ex-boyfriend was doing improv, and then I'm like, maybe I'll do it as a hobby, and then I like got addicted to it. Like I had no idea about like writing internships and like just the different pathways
Right,
people
right.
had. I had like didn't realize that like I could even do that,
Right.
and it's for the same reasons that you were saying.
I was just insane and was like, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, I
But-
mean, look, I felt that way too, you know. And then you do kind of get this little. I remember the first, all these networks. By the way, if I'm going over, you let me know.
Oh, I thought you had to be somewhere.
No, it's
Yeah.
okay. At this point,
Yeah, we're
you
already
know,
on time.
I don't want
Okay, great.
to. Okay, what time what's a hard out here? Do you guys edit these things?
No,
Wait.
No.
Not as much.
Okay.
maybe a little.
We're
at the
just really
beginning.
enjoying this live coaching session.
I do this so much. There's like every network they have like their diversity initiative. Have you guys have
Yeah.
any of you been part of it or no?
Yeah.
No. Which one did you do?
I did the CBS.
So I did CBS too.
Oof.
Which year did you do yours?
Oh God, I think it was 3-4 years ago.
Okay. So like even like in those programs, you go into it thinking, oh, this is an opportunity.
Yeah.
They're gonna finally, I'm gonna get the chance. And then when you get there, it's kind of the when the veil is lifted, you kind of
You're in a basement with no windows, no
Yeah.
food, and no water,
you
and
get
people screaming at you and critiquing you physically.
well, that too, but also just you kind of know what they're expecting from you, and it's not what you thought it was. Like for me, I thought, oh, I'm going to try to break all these molds, or like I'm going to try to break these preconceived notions as to what they think that I should be, and try this other thing.
And
kind
instead, they were trying to encourage you to do those things that
Encourage
you were
you to
trying
do
to
those
avoid.
things.
They asked you to
Part
do
of
it in an
IT.
accent.
and which I did,
outsourced.
which I did.
Yeah.
But the other thing too is, look, which Parvesh and outsourced. He was in my year.
Oh, he was
Oh,
your
really?
He was my year, yeah. Which he's so great.
Which year did you?
It was 2009.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Oh wow, so that was a while back.
A while back, yeah.
Almost 10 years ago.
Almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
He was 33.
I was
Just a
I
young-
was 38. Almost 50, guys.
Time flies.
The what was I gonna say?
He's trying to get those 56-year-old women.
That's all I'm trying to do. No, I'm turning 62 next year.
We're the 63-year-olds.
No, but what was I gonna say?
The women.
God,
You're talking about diversity.
Oh.
Parvesh
You want-
was
so-
in your year.
So what?
You want to inspire kids.
I do want to inspire
Yeah.
kids. Also, I do understand why the industry has done what they've done for as long as they have, and I don't think it's like they're intrinsically racist or whatnot. It's just it really comes down to numbers.
Yeah.
You know
it's
what I
a
mean?
formula that's worked.
It's a
for a
formula that's
long
worked, and also the year that I did the CBS Diversity Showcase, they didn't have a Middle Eastern category. They didn't.
Wow.
They had East Indian or the East Asian. They had Asian. They just didn't have that, and so
Yeah.
I had to convince
You had to
that.
make a box on the SATs.
I actually made
to check off.
I made a video that I sent to Fern Ornstein that convinced her to let me be a part of it because that was the main reason was because I wasn't in a specific category. But then I did this deep dive
Mhm.
into like statistics and whatnot, and Middle Eastern, and I think it's Indian is considered East Asian now, right?
yeah.
On statistics.
No,
South
South
Asian.
Asian.
South Asian.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think
Statistically.
they're still calling it East Indian in Hollywood.
Yeah, they call it East Indian
Oh,
for
really?
the category.
Yeah.
But I mean, like the Middle Eastern category, since that wasn't there, right? Statistically, that's not. They were always lumped in with like Caucasian,
Yeah.
right? And so when a show gets made, they take that show to an event called Upfronts.
Showcase?
No,
Okay.
Upfronts.
Yeah, in
So-
New York.
in New York. And what that does is that kind of they gauge the interest from all these buyers, all these like advertising time buyers, people that
Pepsi.
Pepsi, Nabisco, whatever it may be. And so, and they're basing where they want to buy their time based on who they think are their clients or their customers.
Yeah, what their demographic is.
What their demographic is.
Yeah.
So if Middle Eastern is not a category statistically that's being used in your formula in figuring out who your customers are, then you never really have to. You don't have to buy them. You don't have to cater to them at all. So that was one of the main reasons why I feel like that. Because look, at the end of the day, Hollywood, they just care about, it's binary. It's money.
It's numbers.
It's numbers. It's ones and zeros. So like if they don't see that there's a profit to be made there, they're not going to do it.
Yeah.
So
and if there's no history of it, nothing to reference, it's a risk.
If there's
it's
no
inherently
data,
a risk.
exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think more recently than not, statistically, there's been a little bit more specificity about who's who.
Yeah.
And I think that helps.
That, and I think it's a numbers game, right? So I think finally Hollywood is seeing, like if you release Crazy Rich Asians, people will come out to see it in droves. If you put Priyanka Chopra on your network show, every Indian in all of America and beyond is going to watch the show.
Right.
So I think they're finally starting to see like, oh, this has been a neglected market this whole time.
Right.
Let's look more into it. So
they're finally
the
judging us
there.
for our money and not our skin color.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We got money.
Much.
Does it feel exciting to sort of be in that wave?
Yeah,
that
first
initial
wave.
Well, I guess we're all sort of in that wave, but like does it like ever hit you? Like, oh, this is
You guys
No.
are in it.
interesting.
To be honest, it never hits me.
Yeah.
It just feels like it's always a push, no matter what,
It's
which
just-
is fine. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I've been asked that question a few times, and about like the billboards and like, do I feel different? I really don't.
Yeah, how many billboards with Goatface?
There were so many.
There were. I
There are a
saw
lot,
them
yeah.
all around town. Was
They're
that
still up.
surreal? Was that like a crazy feeling? I know you put it on the video with your mom. And
That
she
was
very
so
I did,
sweet.
yeah,
when
yeah.
I think I saw it in New York too.
You
Yeah.
drove your
It was
mom
all
to
over.
go see it.
They're at the subways and whatnot. Yeah, I drove my mom
Yeah.
to see it. What was your question? Does it feel surreal?
How did it feel when you saw your face
He
on
said
a
the same.
billboard?
Yeah, the same. Nothing really.
Really?
Yeah, nothing.
But I like that because to stay neutral. Like to me, it's like if I get too high about something, the fall is like I tried to, appreciate the milestone, but not just make it define my happiness.
I never experienced pain or joy.
Because you're a robot.
Because you're,
I'm a robot.
you're at the right level of medication.
Yeah.
Doing it.
God.
Perfect.
No, just for me, I just I don't know. It's kind of like it was kind of like a material thing, and then it was there, and it was like, all right. I mean, it doesn't really feel. Did you ever want like a material thing, like really badly?
like money. Give me money.
That's not a material thing, but like a material thing, like
When I was younger,
sure. And
Yeah.
then like you felt like for some reason the moment you got that thing, you would like wake up differently, or like
and it doesn't do anything.
it doesn't do anything. And this is, I mean, look,
But it's not-
I'm so appreciative of it, and I'm so excited that it happened, but it's like so like.
But it's like a symbol of all your hard work, though, right? It's like
Sure.
this culmination of all these years you put in with these guys, and then
Yeah,
to have, and that's part, and you're part of the representation.
appreciation. Maybe that's
sure.
the
It just feels too much of like an exhale. If I'm like, yeah, and so to me, I just don't like
Yeah.
exhaling very much. Kind of like I kind of want to keep going with what I kind of have to do.
You're like already. You're okay. You're like okay.
stay
on to the
grounded.
next.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, yeah,
You got that Ariana Grande mentality.
Thank you. Next.
I love her. I don't even know who she is. No, I do know who she is.
He's got beef with Ariana
Ariana
Grande.
Grande.
He doesn't even know who she is. You heard it here.
It's not a beef because not two ways.
She might hate
All right.
him. You
All
don't know.
Yeah.
We should probably.
Sounds like a drink
wrap
at
up.
Yeah.
Starbucks.
Should we do the South
Can I get
Asian
an
questions?
Ariana Grande?
Sure.
What was that?
Oh, we have a
We
segment where we ask you who your favorite South Asian celebrity is, or
Oh wow.
notable person.
It can't be Hassan or Hassan Minaj. because-
He's been a favorite on this.
and it has to be South
I mean, look, we'll take some
Anyway.
Middle
liberties
Eastern.
here.
No.
Yeah, it could be Middle Eastern.
Yeah.
We're like,
why
no,
not?
you
Go
have
ahead.
to name only a South Asian.
We're not going to be rigid here.
Celebrity.
Or role model or someone you've worked with that you think is super
Yeah.
cool.
Someone in our category.
Has anybody said Hassan Minaj or no?
They said
They have?
Hassan, but no one said Hassan.
Yeah, no one said
Was that
Hassan.
Hassan?
So maybe you can bring
Yeah.
Hassan.
I'm trying to think. Who? This does sound bad that I can't think of somebody. Give me an example.
Priyanka Chopra.
Cal Penn.
Aziz Ansari.
Hassan Minaj. I did it again.
Yeah.
I did it again.
Let's go with
did it
it. Let's
again.
go with
Okay.
it.
No, I
He's like Nick Jonas.
He's is he South Indian? I love him.
He just
I mean,
married
by
Priyanka
marriage.
Chopra.
By marriage.
By marriage, that's right.
Yeah.
No, I mean, look, he's like my brother. I'm so proud of him. I love him so much. You know, that's the other thing too. It's like, I feel like, I know they're like my brothers, you know. I'll tell you this. They're like my brothers. Asif is like my close cousin. But here's the reason why. Because he's never really been like I've never fought with him. I feel like you fight with your brothers.
Mhm.
You don't fight with your cousins. Right?
I fight with my cousins.
I fight with my.
Yeah.
I fight with everyone.
He's literally like Asif is literally one of the easiest individuals to get along with ever.
Yeah.
Have you had him on the show?
No, we want all of you guys on the show.
You should have him on the show.
Yeah,
He's
cool.
so
I think
easy.
I messaged him and then he
Yeah, yeah,
ignored me.
Who, Asif?
Yeah, because he
I'll
didn't know
reach-
me.
I'll reach out to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's great. But like, you know, they're all family to me. So but yeah, my favorite, I'd say Asif actually. I really look up to Asif, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I like
so
that.
sweet.
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
Asif is the favorite
He's been
celebrity.
yeah, because he's
That is Asif Ali. Go find him.
he works really hard.
Mhm.
And he doesn't take a break, which I kind of like, and I know it's not great. It's not good for you to not take a break, but yeah, probably Asif.
You all hustle real hard, and
Mm.
I think that's something to be.
Who do you think hustles the most?
I don't know, honestly.
Why does it have to be a contest?
competition?
It's not a. I don't think it's a contest. I think you're all
I think
like.
it's a
No
contest.
contest. Asif hustles him. No, I'm kidding.
You're all honestly, you're all hashtag goals. I look up to all of you.
Oh, thanks.
And I've seen everybody on stage kill it. I've seen the you know, like
I don't know
I'd
what's
say
the
that's
point?
surreal to me is when people are like, I look up to you. I'm like, me?
Yeah,
I don't know about really. So that to me is
Yeah.
that's kind of cool.
Well,
sure.
you know, the billboards are really high. You know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hate that. I hate my face, and there's like,
Oh my goodness,
Oh, you don't like
that's
your?
great.
I don't really like. I don't like seeing myself on.
Neither do any of us.
Yeah, none of us
I
like
know.
watching.
We argue all the time
No.
about what pictures to post.
I'm already
'cause we're
stressed
like,
about taking our group picture.
We have to take
Yeah.
a picture after this, and one of us is
Oh,
going to
fuck,
be
we gotta
like,
do
We
that.
have
Yeah.
to. We absolutely
Don't worry.
have
We can
to.
take a,
Don't
we can take
worry.
a silly one where we look bad on purpose, and then we're fine with it.
Yeah, less
Yeah.
pressure.
All right,
Oh,
should we
that
do
sounds
the
good.
last segment?
Yeah.
Or I think we're good.
What's
What,
last?
do you have any questions about like South Asian? Well, I guess the question was, what do you call it? Is it East Asian or South Asian?
South Asian.
South Asian.
South
No, we
Asian.
usually,
Asian, East
we
Indian.
usually ask when people are on our podcast if they have any like dumb questions about our cultures.
That was a good dumb question.
But
I mean, I know quite a bit about it. I mean,
But
Yeah,
you
you're
were
surrounded by
already,
it.
yeah. Even as a kid,
What's
Yeah.
a dumb question you've received?
literally growing up, the stupidest question I ever got growing up was, "Hey, what do your parents think about this? You know, the Iranian American embassy thing." Like I'd been hearing about this thing since I was a kid, and I didn't even know what it was until I brought it up to my mom. I still didn't really understand it up until like, you know, when I was in history class, you know, in school.
Yeah.
But like those kinds of questions, like, you know,
You just like Lucky Charms. You don't know.
yeah, I don't know. I
Just the marshmallows.
yeah,
Just the
to me, it's like I never really I hated a lot of those stupid questions. You know, like about
You didn't want to be the go-to.
You're not
You
the
don't wanna be the
ambassador of
resident-
your religion.
You don't want to be the resident like Middle Eastern kid where
Yeah.
people like fielded their Middle Eastern questions and curiosities.
the other thing too
Right.
is like nobody really gave a shit. I grew up in Texas. Nobody
Yeah.
gave a shit about being Middle Eastern. They just didn't
Right.
want you to be around. You know, like I had a neighbor. Not only did like I remember one time one of the first times I went to, or the first time I went trick or treating, right? Because I'd never been trick or treating before. My mom really didn't understand the concept of it, and my dad had just kind of left. My neighbor's dad dressed up as my dad for Halloween,
Oh, what?
and that was like that was like very. I don't really know how emotionally scarring it was, but I remember just laughing with everybody else because I so desperately just wanted to be liked by them. And so I just laughed with them. I was like, that's funny. But in retrospect, it's like, that's kind of fucked up, you know,
That's
like,
super fucked
Yeah.
up.
right? And
Also,
so,
it's like a grown man with a child. Like,
Yeah,
how
I mean,
do you not?
That's just outright racism.
well, I mean, when I saw, I remember him looking at, because they were
Your
at,
father's Greek.
yeah.
So he was dressed as a Greek man, or specifically your father.
Did
My-
he just put on a mustache?
my
Like,
dad,
what is
my
that, what is
well,
that
my
costume?
my dad has very strong Turkish roots, so which
gotcha.
a lot of Greeks do. If you look at him, he looks very brown.
Mm.
The mustache. I mean, the way I dressed and Baba knows best. He looked just like my
Yeah.
dad. So my dad had really curly hair.
Oh.
That's the only difference. But my dad had like these white these white tufts on the side of his hair, like here, and then it was like super pitch black, kind of like curly afro, mustache down to here. My dad used to like mow the lawn in Speedos a lot.
Oh, that's where that came from.
Because what?
The joke.
Oh, the Speedos. Yeah, it's a real thing. You know, like he used to do that all the time because it was hot to him. It made sense, you know. And he liked the sun being on his body, but everybody else in the neighborhood thought it was the weirdest thing. But he had a very interesting, like, just the way he kind of presented himself.
Style.
And I remember going next door because they were actually taking me to go trick-or-treating.
That's so sad.
So do you think it was supposed to be lighthearted and they just didn't understand the impact?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that they went out of their way to
wasn't
be
malicious.
And hurting a kid. Like, why would they do that? They just thought it was funny, and they were like legitimately laughing. And so I kind of was just kind of laughing too because I really just wanted to go out trick-or-treating.
Yeah.
And I wanted them to like me. I always kind of wanted most of those kids to like me, but they were all pretty white, freckles, red hair, blonde.
I grew up.
Everything I was not.
I grew up in Utah, and my neighborhood was all super white, and there were a lot of kids like in my neighborhood that I would try to hang out with, and then some of them would like just say or do like super fucked up shit to my family, and then my parents wanted us to like still fit in and still be friends with them, and I was like, no, these people are terrible. I'm not gonna hang out with them. Yeah, it was just like it's definitely hard balancing that of like trying to assimilate, but also like stifling like who you are.
I've never heard that experience. That's pretty wild. If another parent in the neighborhood dressing up for Halloween as the other.
What's funny is I hit them up maybe a few years ago, maybe about 4 years ago, because I know the kids.
You're still in touch with the kids.
Kind of.
Okay.
It was like when I started getting on Facebook, and they, I can't remember if I brought it up or they brought it up, but I just still thought it was kind of interesting and weird and funny, and they totally remember. And again, they didn't really, I don't think they went out of their way to be malicious or anything like that. But, I just don't think people really wanted to know or cared to know much about, and when you were in that kind of environment, you growing up, you don't really want to know either.
Yeah.
You just want to be liked by everybody, try to
assimilate,
assimilate,
or at least be accepted at the very least.
As much as you could, For me, like being a goofball and joking around a lot, that was kind of like the way I was able to kind of sell myself.
That was my calling, way to sort of fit in was.
And on that side, we're wrapping up the facial recognition comedy.
Good shit, Aristotle.
I didn't mean to be. Was I sad?
No.
Was there sadness here?
That was a really cool story.
Where can we find you on the internets?
My Instagram is Aristotle, so it's AIR_Stotle, because I'm in the sneakers. The sneaker sketch.
Nice.
That's cute.
That was my sketch. Aristotle. And then my Twitter is just Athiras, @Athiras, and then like my name on Facebook. Is that what you want to know?
Yeah. Website?
I don't have one.
Oh.
I need one. I know.
Yeah, whatever. Any projects coming up?
We're doing Good Morning America.
What?
Did I tell you about
that? When?
This Friday.
Yay! Very exciting.
Yeah, flying out on Wednesday. And then working on figuring out Goatface, like future of Goatface. And then I just finished a special for Ian Edwards. You guys know Ian?
Oh, yeah. Really funny comic.
Very funny.
You directed it.
I directed it.
Oh, you did?
Uh-huh.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And then I have another pilot I'm working on, which I can't talk about it yet, but it's a female comic in LA, and I think she's very talented. She's great, and so I'm kind of excited to be working on it with her. So
cool.
That is so exciting.
You want to do our facial rec?
Yep. You can find us at facialrecognitioncomedy.com. You can find everything there. We are also Facial Recognition Comedy on Instagram and Facebook, and Facial Rec Comedy on Twitter. If you want to see Aristotle's face as he lies to us, you can go to patreon.com/facial recognition comedy. We have our January show coming up, which is the All Zara's show at Westside Comedy Theater at 9 p.m. on the second Sunday of the month, which I believe is the 13th.
Yes,
they are not the same
13th.
Zara.
They are not the same Zara.
Four of them, and
then also we'll be there. And then
also not Zara.
Yeah. And then we have our SF Sketchfest show on January 19th.
It's Saturday,
January 19th. Go to the Women's March.
Cafe du Nord.
And then come to Cafe du Nord.
8 p.m.?
Yeah, 8 p.m.
Cool. Yep. I'm Paula Viganalin. PALLAVIGUNALAN. That's my website, my Instagram, my Facebook, my Twitter.
And you can find me, Zara, at Really Zara on all the social medias. Really Zara. Zara is spelled Zahra.
And I'm Fizza Dasani. You can find me at Fizza Dasani and all that stuff. Just, it doesn't matter how you spell it. If you Google it, there's not too many Fizza Dasani, so I'm not even going to spell it again. Although that took as much time to just spell. So maybe I should just...
You've been spelling it for 30-something episodes.
They know. They know.
You too, bitches.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm tired.
I don't know why we asked you that getting along question.
How many of you are in the group?
The
There's
three of us produce everything.
But it's the showcase is usually 6 comics plus a host, and we usually have a male host.
Are you guys
and
shooting
rotating
sketches or
work.
no?
We're
starting.
We're
on the
starting.
agenda.
Trying to.
Just you 3.
Well, I
We'll
think
include people if we see fit,
Right,
but
right.
like, with the three of us, kind of like run the whole facial recognition comedy
That's great.
brand.
Mhm.
That's great.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Oh,
We're excited.
I'm
We're
excited. I'm excited for you.
stay in
Thank
touch.
you.
Yeah, definitely. I remember when I started doing. I remember that.
This is the podcast that never ends.
Yeah.